So it looks like Luffy and Zoro are the new Whitebeard and Oden. Join Lucci and Kaku, never. And honestly, let's keep it a stack here. If Lucci and Kaku, particularly Lucci, if he winds up teaming up with Luffy and Zoro in earnest, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, Kaku too, but Lucci particularly, he ain't a good dude. He's very, very far from being a solid lad. Iceberg would definitely give you those full details if you forgot in Water 7. Of course, when we see what he's done in Enies Lobby, his flashback where he's killed hundreds of innocent soldiers that failed to protect their kingdom, I'm like, nah. What if Lucci and Kaku, they get their cuffs taken off, and then they blitz, like they get out of Dodge, and they let Luffy and Zoro handle S-Bear and S-Hawk? I'm cool with that. You see, that's what I want to see. I want to see dirty. I want to see filthy. I want to see Ric Flair activity. Maybe, let's say, they even try and take some stabs, quite literally, at Luffy and Zoro during the entire time. So they act, let's say, as a third independent force here. So Luffy and Zoro are the Blue Army, the good guys. You have the bad guys, the Seraphim. And then you have Kaku and Lucci, or the Yellow Army. I'm hoping that the Rob Gooch can begin his redemption arc after Stussy took a nibble of his neck. Kaku, I hope the same thing. I hope the same thing. If you haven't seen my live stream reaction to the chapter, you know where to go. On my Cole Requiem channel, and of course on my twitch.tv channel. All links where in the description box down below, where you can see the entire stream. Before we get to who's a who was the person running around creating so much chaos, or persons I should say, let me give a quick shout out to York. I did not know that was York's game. I apologize for underestimating her game, because my goodness, her game is fierce, and I gotta appreciate that. Because in this chapter, she had my attention for damn sure. And apparently, her attention was caught by S-Snake. And S-Snake, Mero Beam, and she turns into stone. A few chapters ago, there were Cypher Pole agents that got turned to stone because of S-Snake. And this, it was dicey. However, York turning to stone, that does, I would argue, that absolves them of their would-be sins, okay? They're still in the good graces of Yahweh. Cute is deadly. Too much cuteness could even turn you into stone. However, not the case for Pythagoras, because Pythagoras apparently is, well, fine. We've seen before, like when we first saw Pythagoras, we did see like that horror ball thing on like the main body. So when we find out that like he was, quote, decapitated, actually no, that's just the horror Gundam thing, and then his main body just up there. So basically, he's fine, which is good. But who is command controlling the Seraphim now? Who is having the Seraphim target, apparently, allegedly according to Zoro, CP0, and of course, going about shutting down all of the snails that are in the area for any visual feed? A lot of folks are saying off the rip, it's Saturn. And one of the alleged key signs of this would be at the end of the chapter, where you have the beam laser explosion of S-Bear combined with the slash of S-Hawk. That imagery kind of looks like the planet Saturn. I don't think it's Saturn. It could be J. Garcia Saturn, but I think that we have to make a lot of Herculean leaps to kind of make the assumption that it is Saturn. Honest to goodness, I think we do. Saturn, we know, was under the protection of Kizaru, and if Saturn pulls some sort of crazy stealth mission, OD Sly Cooper and Thieves ability, and just slides somehow enters the Labo phase, which is supposed to be cut off because it's no longer under Shaka's control, and is able to whisper in the ears of the Seraphim to not only take out the Vegapunks, but then also target the Cypher Pole agents, which we know for sure ever since Wano Country that the Gorosei value their agents. Recall, I think, it was chapter 1044, when it was the reveal of the Nika, where you had one of the Gorosei say, we had to not only sacrifice one of our best agents and also make Kaido angry in order to try and kill Luffy? Was it worth it? And the guy says, yeah, it was worth it because the Nika. So they clearly value someone like Guernica. They've got to value someone like Rob Lucci and, of course, Kaku as well. But what? Wait, so Jay Garcia Saturn would actively want to destroy one of the government's best assets in Rob Gucci and Kaku? Huh? Now, I remember in the chat, some folks say, well, because they failed. I remember some of the donos said that, some of the guys in chat said that. But hold on, no. We have seen them fail or heard them failing a few times. Like, remember Baltigo? Dragon bailed because of Blackbeard. In came CP0, and then Blackbeard bailed, so they kind of failed there. But as far as we know, none of those agents were killed or assassinated or any of that stuff. Clearly, they failed to stop the surge of the Nika. The other guy that was there, I think his name was Maha. Not Maha, I think he died. But the guy that leaves at the end, I mean, apparently, as far as you're saying, he's still alive. And his whole thing failed. So, I'm not buying it. And then also, how would he even get there in the first place? What? As far as we know, yeah, Kizaru could give him a piggyback ride, and then they move at light speed to Egghead Island, and then create mad chaos. But that just seems absolutely insane when they clearly value, or at least the admirals and everybody else, they value the lives of the Gorosei so strongly that they'd be willing to actually risk Jay Garcia's safety like that? What? Because keep in mind this too. As far as Kizaru knows, there is no one higher than Jay Garcia Saturn. It's him and his 4 other lads that are the highest authority on the planet Earth. And then Kizaru would just have him go, what? That seems kind of crazy. And in, let's say, the case of the silhouette, I know that folks want to say, well, it looks like Saturn, which is kind of true, but also, given the eyes actually kind of look more like S-Bears. S-Bear would actually have the ability of teleporting from location to location within the lab area with its abilities and take out the snails that are used for monitoring the entire area. So let's say S-Bear, S-Shark, and those guys, they could definitely do that. So when it came to taking out all those snails, it's, I think, most likely just the Seraphim. Now, of course, you may just say, well, the shadow that we see on the screen doesn't have ears, like bear ears. Well, ultimately, it's just a blur. It's just a black blur, like Shadow the Hedgehog. We're not supposed to be able to actually gauge appropriately who is this person. And this person, if they kind of look a lot like Jay Garcia, then it's probably not Jay Garcia. I'll keep it a stat. It could be him, but there's actually some loop-de-loops and hoop-de-hoops, I think, to actually justify that it is Jay Garcia Saturn with some crazy extra-dimensional... I did a video recently on my thoughts on the Gorosei and how strong they are. Check that out over here. I don't want to go crazy with it, so just watch that video. You'll see what I'm talking about here. But I think that it's probably just S-Bear and the Seraphim that are going around shutting down the monitoring snails. Okay, so then who is the one that gave the order? Well, one of the things that's also very important here is that Shaka talks about how this entire thing must have been an elaborate plan from the moment the Frontier Dome went down. And keep in mind this too, the Frontier Dome went down before we even saw St. J. Garcia Saturn. So that's even more evidence to showcase, based on Shaka's words, since this predates Monsieur Saturn, it's most likely not Monsieur Saturn. I don't think, let's say, it was a true blue elaborate plan, but if, let's say, it is, it could be one of the Vegapunks. And most likely, I think it would be, let's say, A, Edison, B would be Shaka himself, and then C, I think, could be York. The York idea comes from, let's say, she was petrified, turned to stone by a snake, but Pythagoras and Rob Lucci and Kaku, the Seraphim, were actually going to kill them. But York is, quote, just fine. So maybe York is like the Maleficent of the clique right now, and she did order S-Snake to turn to stone, and then once she got rid of everybody else, undo said petrification, and then she's gonna look down on everybody else with a savage malice intent. Maybe. There's also another theory out there that I do like, where there's actually a 7th satellite body that we haven't seen yet. And I actually recall, because I went over the chapters a little bit during the stream, in 1065 and 66, we do see several doors for the would-be Seraphim. And there's about 7 of them. I think there could be 8 of them, but there's like 7 doors. So maybe one of these doors actually is for a failed Vegapunk satellite body. That person was, let's say, freed because Caribou is still somewhere on the island, ideally. I'm pretty sure he didn't escape the lava phase area. That's my safest bet here. So maybe they were accidentally freed by Caribou, and then they've been going crazy ever since. Another idea would be it's actually the main satellite body, Vegapunk, where Vegapunk, whether it's willingly or unwillingly, gave the command to the Seraphim to take out the other Vegapunk bodies, and of course take out CP0, maybe also the Strats as well, but we haven't gotten there yet. So that could be something as well they're going to see relatively soon. Maybe it was because another person is actually manipulating the satellite body, the main body, Vegapunk, and then that's why it's happening. There's also another take where it could be the Blackbeard Pirates. So it could be Katarina Devon, it could be Laffy, and it could be City of the Rain, and they're going crazy on Egg Island. Because let's say you had Blackbeard fan out his crew on the 3 islands that would be the most likely locations for the Luffy, Kid, and Law Alliance to go to. So he himself was on Winter Island with Daku, Von Ogga, and Burgess. Then let's say he had Vasco Shot, Corrupt King, and San Juan Wolf go to Elbaf, and then to sneak onto the government island of Egg Island, you'd have sneaky individuals like Katarina Devon, like City of the Rain, and of course Laffy. Because remember, the first time we see Laffy, he pulls up right in front of the Shichibukai, the warlords, way back when. In front of Kuma, in front of Dofi, in front of Mihawk, and also in front of Sengoku, the Buddha. He pulls up on the Holy Land, and he's clean. Yo, there are options, yo. There's options. There are options. But, once again, I will say, I'm willing to bet it's not Saint J. Garcia Saturn. It's almost like a president of a country going in like the middle of a battlefield, like bullets flying everywhere with 0 protection or 1 bodyguard. Nah, you wouldn't see this nowadays. No shot. It's like Kizaru treating Garcia Saturn the same way. No. I mean, maybe, but no. I mean, maybe, but no.